This episode is brought to you by Netflix. From the co-director of Shrek and the visionary behind Toy Story comes Spellbound, a magical new animated adventure starring Rachel Zegler, John Lithgow, Jennifer Lewis, Nathan Lane, and Titus Burgess with Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman. When a powerful spell turns her parents into monsters, Princess Elian must journey into the wild to reverse the curse before it's too late. Watch Spellbound only on Netflix November 22nd.
Wishing for a body wash made with natural ingredients? Dr. Squatch has got you covered. Manly scents that make you irresistible, a thick lather that leaves your skin moisturized all day. No matter what you're looking for in a body wash, rest assured Dr. Squatch is your best bet. Pick up one today in store or at drsquatch.com. It's Dr. Squatch Body Wash for men who prefer natural.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to The Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Danny, and today we have another Alien Addict episode. So this was actually the first episode that I was on with them, but I knew that I would probably be moving, so I was actually holding on to this interview or this episode for you for this moment, actually. So thank you so much, Alien Addict, for having me on. You guys are so much fun. They're always just like giving each other shit and like having fun. So it was a great time. I would have them on my podcast, go back on their podcast because we just have so much fun. So check them out. They put out an episode like every day of the week. So really cool things over there. Always talking about conspiracies and more like current events type stuff all the time. Whereas I'm doing research into sometimes older conspiracies. So either way, there's always good stuff going on. Before we get into it, make sure that you guys check out Wise Wolf Gold, our sponsor. If you're interested in precious metals, gold, silver, whatever, you want a subscription, $50 a month is the cheapest subscription. They have more expensive subscriptions as well, but you're not going to find a gold or silver subscription for that cheap anywhere else. So check them out, rabbithole.gold, or go to the link in the show notes. I promise my move is almost done and I will be back with a regularly scheduled episode soon. Thank you guys for just hanging on with me during this crazy time in my life because things are a little wonky for me. I love you. I appreciate you. Enjoy.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Alien Addict, your daily conspiracy podcast because reptilians don't take days off. We are joined by Danielle from the Rabbit Hole podcast today. How are you doing, Danielle? Thanks for coming on the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
No, it's great. I found your podcast. Yeah, I found your podcast the other day, and I've been picking off individual episodes over the last week. It's really good. I especially enjoyed your last episode with the flat. Is it the Flattest Earther? Is that his name?
Yeah, so Tyler Hansen was on my podcast. He's like quite the TikTok sensation. I feel like people all over TikTok know him. So that was quite the fun. It was a really fun episode to do.
No, it was good. It felt like listening to that halfway through, you might have had your views on like the world shaking through doing the research for that show.
Yeah. I feel like I went in, I didn't want to do the Flat Earth episode. I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to believe the world was flat. And then I did the episode and I was like, well, maybe the world is flat.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know. It could be.
We have a t-shirt for that.
We do. I know it's a podcast, but we do have
It's a podcast.
Danielle, there you go.
I'm not a flat earther, but
I mean, it's true. The world might be flat, and I think I'm okay with it. With it being that way, with it being halfway flat and halfway round.
Well, we've had a few. We've had Mark Sargent. We've had who's the great
Dave Weiss.
Dave Weiss.
Mhm.
Oh,
On,
you had him on?
yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have.
That's pretty good.
Very fun, very fun.
Mhm.
But I think something that Lee's always said is the thing about the conspiracy of flat Earth that's interesting is why they want to, and pardon the pun, flatten it. That conspiracy, they want it kind of gone.
I think it's interesting that Ollie's projecting his flat Earth on Lee.
Yeah, I
Ollie
do
is
as
our
well.
resident flat Earther.
Are you?
No,
So
I'm not.
Lee, do you not believe the Earth is flat? So the Earth is round
Oh.
for you.
No. I have I always joke that since like COVID and stuff like that now, I've no doubt left. So if you're going to tell me something, I was yeah, probably, maybe, who knows. What I would say about like do the research for the flat Earth episodes is I live on a small island, so when I go to work every morning, I literally turn around a road, go down a hill, and I can see like the whole of like a 4-mile long bay, like a half crescent bay.
Mm-hmm.
And I look out towards the sea and I go, on a calm day, that does look fucking mightily flat. And then there's parts of, I don't know if you did you listen to any of the stuff from Eric DeBay when you were doing the like your research into that episode?
No, but I did listen to David Weiss.
Yeah, Eric DeBay, he caught me off guard when I was listening to his stuff because I live on the Isle of Man, which is in between like England and Scotland, like slap bang in the middle, and he used my island for a lot of the examples because obviously you can see you've got short distances, and I'm there going, yeah, I can see that. Don't tell me I'm not supposed to.
So the thing that really got me, because people are like, well, like flight paths and stuff, and I was in the Navy and we flew, like my job was to fly a lot, and so I was like, okay, well, I know a lot of pilots and a lot of flight engineers and whatever. Okay, but the thing that really got me is from my house, as the bird flies, I'm like 43 miles to Pikes Peak. And basically everybody knows Pikes Peak, right? I'm like 43 miles to Pikes Peak. I should not be able to see even the top of Pikes Peak from my house. And that was the thing that got me is I can see basically the entire mountain. I have a beautiful, beautiful view of almost all the Rocky Mountains. I can see from Pikes all the way up to Longs. I can see the whole front range from my front porch. And it's great because I drink my coffee. I look at the front range. I'm like, this is beautiful. I love this. Except for the fact that I really shouldn't see any of these mountains right now because the earth should curve and I should not see those mountains.
I bet that coffee was a bit different after that podcast.
I still enjoyed it and I was like, whatever, the earth's flat now.
Yeah, I have a friend, and we've had him on the podcast. Actually, I have several friends that are NASA contractors, and they among themselves, like you ask them, like this is a topic of debate. I've sat at a bar with many brilliant men who work on classified things for all kinds of people, and they're like, well, is the world flat? And they're like, I mean, maybe. I'm like, what does maybe mean? He's like, well, most everything they tell you is a lie. And that's when I had found out that all the images from NASA are lies. They're artist recreations.
Did you ask them about the moon landing, though?
So they're split on that.
Are they?
Yes.
That's because they lied to all the people at NASA, too.
Well, these are... So one guy in particular has allegedly... Well, not allegedly. He has designed pieces of equipment to go on the alleged space station. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's what he's done. He's won awards for it. He's won articles for it. Like he's a big deal. He worked for DARPA at one time. He's a brilliant man. That said, he and I had a very serious conversation one evening, and he's like, that could never work on the space station. I'm like, what? He's like, no, I know the science. I know what I built. I know what we charged him. 100%. He's like, that won't work. He's like, it won't work. There's no way it'll work. Won't work there. He's like, it'd work anywhere else as a reclamation type device. He's like, but he's like, just the microgravity. He says it interferes with everything. The vacuum flows. Everything's going to wear out. He's like, this shouldn't be. And yet they stamped it and put it up there. And I was like, did you, I mean, surely. He's like, oh, I told him all my concerns. And I was like, it'll be fine. He just kind of gave you the, it'll be fine. This is great. Let's finish the article. This is This is a good moment for fame for everybody. And as far as the moon goes, they're split. They believe that most of them don't believe we've been to the moon. We've never actually put a person there. They believe that we have sent objects to the moon. They believe that the entire NASA space program is a really good idea because a lot of technology came out of it. So they can understand that. And if it's a psyop, they're cool with it. He also took me to a NASA facility, and we got to go around where other people don't get to, as he tried to use his badge to open all kinds of crazy doors.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, like their giant 3D printing facility that's 5 stories high. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing in there, NASA? You know, that's not on the tour.
I like to do that on bases too, because I can still go on bases. And I love to go places because most of the time they don't check. Like they don't care what you're doing
Yeah.
because people are like, well, I'm not supposed to go, so I just won't. I don't have that thought. I'm like, oh, well, let's go.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to stop me. Who's going to stop me? And then if they do come to you and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? Like, oh, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be here. Oops. And then I just leave.
And that's the fun thing is all NASA facilities are on military bases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he has the fun credential that he holds up to the window and nobody stops him. There's, you can keep going, sir. Who's in the car with you? Don't ask those questions.
I want to know this guy.
I know several of them. But it's an interesting thing. So again, the nerds that I talk to, at least, right? So that's my end is fairly small compared to all of them. And they're broad thinking. They're all contractors. None of them work for them officially. They work on the base at NASA facilities through whoever parent company holds them, right? And they also work off for different things. They're just jacks of all trades. I'd love to get them back on again, but they're in the middle of a project, so they won't. He did send me a interesting cryptic text when I was asking him about the astronauts that are allegedly stranded in space. That nobody's talking about. Everybody just kind of forgot with everything. Like, we still got 2 guys circling the world. Like, maybe we should get them down, right? Like, they've been up there a while. And he gave
Have you not seen London, Dave? I would stay where I was.
They're not from the UK. They'll be okay. I need to pull up his exact text. He said, was it 1977 Capricorn 1? That was his response. Do you know what Capricorn 1 was?
Daniel's probably a little bit too young for Capricorn 1.
I'm too young.
I'm a bit too young for Capricorn 1.
I mean, I'm pretty young.
Yeah. So Capricorn 1 was a movie that came out in 1977. It should get way more traction in the conspiracy world than it does. It was when the U.S. in 1977, they were going to send a movie, right? This is a movie plot. They were sending astronauts to Mars. It was this huge thing. And right before the shuttle takes off, they pull them off saying there's a life support issue. But for the good of the country and morale, we're going to put you over here in the desert and we need you to act the part like you're on the shuttle. You're going to fake this whole thing for the next 5 years. They're back, whole thing. It's going to be a lie because we're supposed to be doing real-time feeds. And then they kidnap the astronauts' families. And a reporter's trying to figure it out. And they're like, if you don't do it, we'll kill your kids. Like, we're going to make an accident happen. Everybody disappears. And it's just car accidents all around. So you're going to do what we tell you to do. That's the premise of the movie. And that was my buddy's insider. And I was like, when did they? Because I sent him a text because we were talking about it on the show. I was like, when are they getting those guys down? And the next morning, he's like, Capricorn 1, 1977.
It's wild. What's your biggest conspiracy then, Danielle? Because, I mean, and what got you into this in the first place?
Man. I grew up in a conspiratorial household. So, I mean, 9/11, let's start there. Well, okay, I grew up in Denver. So let's start with the Denver airport, right? Like conspiracy theory central.
I would love to go there, by the way.
You're not going to find what you think you will, because I've tried. I fly in and out of the Denver airport all the time. It's just not as cool as you want it to be because you just can't get to the levels that you need to find the conspiracies. And I've tried so hard and I just can't find them. But they do have I found the gargoyles. The murals are gone. They took them down because there's too many conspiracies. Yeah, they took them down in 2008. So Lucifer is outside.
Yeah.
So I mean, anybody can see Lucifer, but Google a picture, you've seen it. it's not that cool.
It's a blue
I mean,
horse.
blue horse, exactly. It's got the glowing red eyes. So yes, the Denver airport is, I mean, all the conspiracies, but 9/11, I feel like as soon as 9/11 happened, my dad was like, watch this though. And from the time that I could like think about it, and I was 7 when 9/11 happened. And yeah, like from then on, I was like, yeah, that was an inside job for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I joined the Navy. I didn't really think about conspiracy theories. When I got out, my mom, my whole life was like, you have a really good voice. You should be on the radio. And I was like, okay, cool, mom. Yeah, whatever. Right. And I got out of the Navy and I was like, I got to do something with my life. I've got to figure something out. I should start a podcast. And when I was trying to figure out, like, what kind of podcast do I start? Like, where do I go with this? Here I am, conspiracy theories. It's a longer story than that.
And you were in the Navy as well.
Yeah, 5 years in the Navy. Mm-hmm.
Did you any conspiracies there?
I mean,
Fraud, waste, and abuse.
yeah, it's like not as great as you think it is. As much money as you think they're wasting, it's more.
Yeah.
Like,
we had the last Navy guy we had on was from Annapolis. Remember that?
like he was an officer.
Yeah, he went to Annapolis, graduated,
Gay.
and was in.
Sorry.
he is a little bit. He's actually a very good friend of mine.
He'll appreciate
Oh, is
that.
that the one we had to take down?
Yeah, because he
Right.
ran for office. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, extra gay then. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Love it.
I think his best story, and he never told it on the thing, but his best story was when one of the ships he was on. I don't know if you noticed, they had nuclear artillery at one time, right? When they still had those in some whatever ship he was on. I don't know. Never been in the military. I don't know.
I've never seen
Anyway,
a ship.
Yeah. So he was like trying to get in this closet or whatever. And he's like, why is this? And they're like, I don't know. We'll just keep painting over it. Like nobody has keys. And eventually he took it upon himself as like the new officer on board. He's like, I'm opening the door.
Of course.
And they open the door and he's like, what is this munition? He's like, I don't know. It's all locked up or in like a case or whatever. So he like calls it in and they like, all right, we need you to separate from your group and we're going to send some people out. It was a nuclear munition that had got lost.
Oh my God. Very Navy. Very Navy. Yeah, that sounds everything about that story.
The captain, he's like, the captain of the boat was furious. He's like, the admiral who had like done this whole thing was even more. And they're like, why did you open the door? He's like, well, I felt like we should know what was in there. He's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And he's like, I had to go to the admiral's office and he was scary. And he's like, why did you open that door? And he's like, I felt like we needed. He's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Do you know what you cost everyone? Yeah. His naval career was short because of that. Yeah.
When we've been doing things the same way for forever, just keep doing it that way.
Yeah, don't open the door, idiot.
I think I'd want to look in the door.
But the new officers are always like the dumbest officers. And like they think like I'm an officer and I'm gonna like prove myself. And you're like, sir, shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, am I allowed to cuss on your podcast?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. I cuss on my podcast, but like it's just me talking to a wall in my podcast. So it's not like anything exciting. Every now and then I have a guest and I'm like, ooh, this is fun. I have no idea how to have guests.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Ask.
Like,
Yeah.
Who's your best guest you've had on?
I have only had a couple, so I mean Tyler's like my most recent, so let's call it Tyler.
Yeah, just recency bias.
Yeah, like I don't know.
What did you say is the flattest earther there is?
The fittest flat earther.
Oh, the fittest
Yeah.
flat earther.
Yeah.
So
He's a sexy man then, sexy flat earther.
I
always
guess.
Is he fit as in like muscly fit?
Yeah. He's like a strength and conditioning coach for like 20 years.
Right.
I think, Ollie, you think both.
So
Look it up and then send him a message and tell him like you think he's really sexy.
we gotta move away from all these gay infatuation. It's never gonna end.
Ollie, are you gay?
No,
No. But
But you wouldn't guess it.
Yeah, you'd never guess.
I'm sorry, I was in the Navy, so
No, he'll come out of the closet
Sometimes.
someday.
they call me gay all the time. It's fine.
You know, if someone calls you a horse, you hit him in the mouth. They call you a horse a second time, call him a jerk. They call you a horse a third time. Time to go shopping for saddles. Uh,
But I stayed in bed next to Lee, and Lee was the one stroking me. So
Lee's
come
a
on.
cuddler. Lee's a cuddler.
Mm. I was a long way from home, Ollie. I was a long way from home.
Danielle, what is your favorite conspiracy that you've covered thus far?
Okay, I hate that question.
Good.
That's
So
the
what is
worst
it?
question.
What's
don't
the most
actually have-
intriguing?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I have recently, by recently, like I literally recorded it right before this, did a JFK update episode. And the only reason I'm so far into this is because of how much everything connects. And it's not even like, yes, JFK was assassinated, whatever. We all know that the CIA did it. But it's just how much the CIA, or the military industrial complex, actually is involved with everything. Right? Because, yeah, they killed JFK because they can't control him, or they couldn't control him. So they were like, yeah, just get rid of that guy. But then later on, Bush Sr. was in charge of the CIA, and then he becomes the president, and then he puts his son in charge of, or he puts his son as the president because he's like, we can control this guy, because he knew as his dad that he's got no backbone, no problem, we can control this guy. Well, Dick Cheney was the CEO of Halliburton. Well, you know that Halliburton, when we went over into the Middle East, they're the company that was putting up all the bases over there. That's the military industrial complex, just like money, just raking in all this money. So oh gosh, it just goes like so deep. We're blowing up the Twin Towers just so that way we can go over. We're gonna just rape and pillage and try to make all this money over in the Middle East. Get like, oh my gosh. I don't have my notes in front of me, so I feel like my brain just kind of like implodes with all the information that I have in it. You know what I'm saying?
Do you know that allegedly KBR and Halliburton, allegedly KBR and Halliburton, which are the same entity,
Yes,
one's a construction wing, one's the other. Yeah. Got a TV show taken off the air, an incredibly popular one. Did you ever hear the TV show Jericho? Yeah, where there were false flags against the United States, nuclear from the inside, and it was the CIA that initiated it, or CIA that initiated it, and they had officers. It was interesting all around this town. There was a company there called Ravenwood, and they'd got the second. Everyone had worked hard, and like all the fans wanted a second season. Like, oh, we got a contract for X number of series.
I believe it was loved Jericho.
Yeah. So
the nukes,
the Ravenwood or whatever they were, contractors that came in. That was the Halliburton character that the whole thing was modeled off of. Like the truck driver character there, the mayor's son, he used to work for them in the Middle East driving truck, and they wiped out a whole town one night because they got mad, and then the contractor made it all go away, and the contract, like, it was all really about that and how the contractor was tied into these false flag accusations. Well, apparently KBR and Halliburton used their immense resources. I believe it was an NBC show, so like, if you do that, we pull all sponsorship.
But like everything that they put on TV or in movies or all of this, it's all they do it that way they can win. Conspiracy theorists are like, no, that's real life. They're just showing you that way they can go back and be like, that's just a movie. You're making it up. Look, you saw that on TV. Like Manifest, how the plane disappears, right? And it comes back, whatever. Well, what about the Malaysia flight?
Yeah, well, we're quite good friends with Ashton, and we've had Ashton on our show quite a few times, and like
shaking her head.
I still don't know what to think about those videos.
What do you think about those videos, Danielle?
I don't think I've actually seen those videos.
No.
Have you not?
I don't know who Ashton is.
Ashton Forbes, the Malaysian flight, the 3 orbs. Can one of you guys pull that up? Because I'm not going to be able to do that. Because we should definitely get her live first time reaction to that. That'd be awesome.
Oh, that would be good.
So
yeah,
perfect.
It's back to school season, football season, and life gets stressful again season. Which begs the question, isn't it time you had an edible to relax? IndiCloud has finally done it. They've captured the flavors of childhood in their Soda Shop series Delta 9 Gummy. Get those strawberry, grape, and fruit punch flavors while you also get high as IndiCloud has all your favorite dispensary-grade cannabis products shipped right to your door discreetly across all 50 states. Between their beast mode vapes, their exotic flower choices, specialty flavored wraps, and their pre-rolls and concentrates, IndiCloud are the experts at getting your cannabis to you and getting you very, very high. And you can find it all at indicloud.co. Head to indicloud.co/fall24 and get discreet delivery on top-shelf THC products for 30% off on your first order. That's indaclow.co/fall24 to snag 30% off your first order.
What's up, guys? It's the champ, Sean O'Malley, here to talk to you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win real money while watching football. Run your game on Prize Picks.
Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code SPOTIFY. That's code SPOTIFY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
So for those listening, as in our silence, we're watching the plane fly through the air from the MH370 flight. So there's the first orb that appears and starts to begin concentric circles. Here comes the second one, now appears. Here comes the third one. Now they're making their weird little pattern over it. Some kind of electrical sigma sign, somebody had said. I don't know. Not an electrician. And as they continue to go through the air, you're also watching it in FLIR, allegedly. And it's flying through the clouds right before it vanishes. Here comes the vanish. Oh, my timing's off. Poop. That got uploaded in 2014. At that time,
the first video was uploaded in 2014, wasn't it? Then
the first video was uploaded in 2014.
4
then
days.
the second one came 4 days after.
Yeah, 4 days after. And the interesting thing is the angle of it. People like it CGI because the angle. One of the things Ashton Forbes has done very well is he tracked down a type of technology that was used at that time was pretty classified, and now it's kind of a known thing through whatever means they had to admit to it. And that was through Lockheed Martin has covered the Earth in satellites that track all air traffic in real time in satellite image that they can pull up and relay at any time they want. Mm-hmm. And they admit to it. They have an advertising video. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have it totally. Like, we can see all of the sky all of the time in real time. Cerberus.
So what does he think those orbs are? Nobody
knows. Everybody thinks they're fake or it's CGI. Mick West did a whole debunk thing, which makes me think if he's doing a debunk thing on it, it's probably real.
I don't believe debunk. The minute there's a debunk video, there's something real about it. If you're going to come out, no
thing that got debunked in since I can remember in all of UFO.
Yeah, there was also like a talk because we were quite lucky when we got him on, because he was just on he'd just done the Danny Jones podcast, and then he was on with us, and then he was doing I forgot what that guy's name was.
Yeah, it's not important. He did
Julian Dory. He did the Julian Dory podcast. Then he was on with us, and then he did the Concrete podcast with Danny Jones. But the two that he did either side of us had colluded with each other and essentially set him up to just attack the story. Like, it's, if you watch those shows, like the first one he did was like completely edited and it made him look really weird. The Danny Jones one he did, they had a halfway through, Danny Jones sort of turned on him like that, and he said, "Well, I've had a special effects team from somewhere, that Corridor Crew, a YouTube channel." He said and they've recreated the video. They didn't show it. They didn't show the video that they'd recreated, but he just used that as like, these guys made it in like 10 minutes. There's no validity to what you're saying. It's weird.
They turn the accusations totally into him that he is somehow responsible for this. He's trolling the lives of these people. He's created, like, we know this guy. Like, when he flew out to Nashville, me and my wife went and hung out with him, and as a woman he was seeing at the time, like, I've met him. I know him. He's not doing any of those things.
But also, like, what does he have to gain by doing that?
Nothing.
Like, he's not famous.
No.
No.
Well, he was.
He was
I'd
almost
say
famous.
arguably in conspiracy circles, like he was there. He was like a
He was
sniff
about
away
to go
from
on Joe
Rogan.
Rogan, yeah.
Yeah.
He was in
Okay.
contact with Rogan to go on, and then Rogan essentially turned around and said, "No, we can't do this interview."
People in
Oh.
Rogan's circle killed it,
Hmm.
which is a very interesting thing. But yeah, he's been on other bigger shows talking about. He was on Tim Pool. They flew him out there to talk about it on there as well. He didn't necessarily put all the evidence together, but he took what everyone else was putting together and put it in a form that's easy to digest and understand with a timeline. Like he correlated it all and then put it in a form that was
So this
easy
guy
for
like
the masses.
went through and did all this work, and then everybody's like, "Oh, you made it up."
Pretty much.
Yeah.
If you want to find out about it, if you go onto our YouTube channel, we've got a playlist on there which has got the like 3 or 4 interviews we've done with him, which are just
Yeah.
revolve around that. The first interview we did with that was pretty. Like I'd already heard him do the Higher Side Chats show, and I thought that it was just a really awkward interview. So when I got in touch with him, I said, I've heard you on 2 different interviews now, and the people seem more interested in pulling you up. I'd like you to come on with us because we just want you to tell us what's going on. Like it's not going to be an adversarial interview or anything like that. I just want you to tell us what it is, and I think that might have been like the best, like succinct version of him trying to tell us what was going on that I'd heard up to that time. So it's worth a listen.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check it out because that was crazy.
Speaking of worth a listen, I listened to your episode on 33 today.
So I heard you guys have a thing on 33.
All he does.
Yeah, I've
Well,
seen
he's
it.
passed it on to me now, though. That's the unfortunate thing about all
Lee and
this.
Lee see it all the time. So
Just like monkeypox.
Just so you know, Ollie, it's currently 21:33. The time. Carry on.
Holy shit!
Oh man.
All the time.
No,
I said
don't
that to
encourage
you,
him.
didn't
Don't
I?
encourage
In
him.
the
Don't
Instagram
encourage him.
chat when I messaged
Okay.
you to come on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So anyway,
That's
okay, did I do a good job?
Yeah, you really did. But I'm interested to see. Do you ever see it, or did
No.
you just like somebody
So-
asked? you-
so
no, somebody asked you
almost-
to do it, didn't they?
Almost every single episode I do now is a request. Like I hardly ever think of like episodes anymore because almost every single episode I have is request. I have over 200 requests. I have almost 300 requests now because people have so many requests. So 33 was requested, so I was like, all right, cool. Like I had never heard of that conspiracy. So I just went on and
did a great
started
job of breaking it all down and
Yeah.
like the different factors that it comes in. It's
Thanks.
pretty crazy. Yeah, really good job, and a nice timing as well. Half an hour.
I wonder if I did it in 33 minutes. I don't think I
don't
did.
think you did.
I
No.
don't
You
think
should
I
have.
did.
You should
That
have.
would have
Feels
been
like a missed
perfect.
opportunity.
If
Go back.
I
Go
really
back and
did.
edit.
I should go back and make sure like if it needs
needs to
more,
edit
if it needs less, like make sure it's in 33 minutes. But then with ads, like it might be more or
Might be.
less, you know. So who knows?
Can you add an ad to it to make it 33 minutes?
So
Can you
I
add
just put
stuff
in like
that?
ad placements, and then like if there's ads to be placed, like they're in there, or if there's not, then they're not in there. So I don't really control that. I just put in like where ads could be, and then
What conspiracy have you come across thus far that kept you up at night?
there's been several. So there, like I've talked about like simulation argument. I don't think about because if I think about it, I don't think about it. I don't think about that one. The Mandalay Bay shooting happened when I was in the Navy, and I was so in my own brain. There was so much happening in my life that I didn't have time to really worry about what was going on in other people's lives. Like if that makes sense, that I didn't really
Yeah.
like pay attention. So when I did the research into it, I was like, oh my gosh, like people didn't know this was a conspiracy. Like I didn't know this was a conspiracy. Well, turns out I missed so much. Yeah, there's going to be another Mandalay because the research I did was really thorough and really good, but I only did half the work.
Mhm.
And I feel like I do decent work, but I feel like I only did half the work for that one. So there's going to be a whole, because now that I know that I only did half the work, that's keeping me up at night. Because turns out there was reports of gunfire at, I would say, maybe 4, 5, 6 more hotels that night
Mhm.
that I didn't even report on. I didn't even know about until very recently.
Wasn't the FBI SRT already in the building?
Maybe. Again, I did half the research. I
I
am
believe they were.
so right, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. I did really good research for the research that I did, and now I'm finding out that I don't know half the things.
Did you catch the the hard drive from his laptop that was removed from his home while it was under guard by the FBI?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
gone.
oh
Like,
no, nobody got in. Obviously, the hard drive's gone. Somebody got in. Nope. Were you guys there all night? Of course not. We had to go get dinner. What?
like there's so much more to that than I covered. And I feel like, what was I, like, sleeping when I did this? But I didn't, like, I obviously wasn't. Like, I did good job of what
Yeah.
I did, but I didn't do a good enough job.
I get that. I get that. What I specifically meant, though, what keeps you up at night, like a conspiracy that hits so hard, something you thought, well, this is ridiculous or it can't be real. And then as you go into it and do research, you're like, this is happening. This is happening. This is real. And now I have to live every day knowing this, and I wish I hadn't known.
I don't think so. So when I had the conversation with Tyler, I think that
Mhm.
he had that moment because in his life, up until the point where he became a flat earther, which was fairly recently, like, he believed the narrative.
Yeah.
So I never, because I grew up in a family that was always like, they're always lying to you, I never have believed the narrative. So
Fair enough.
everything that they're telling me, I've always been like, well, it's a lie. So every time I, like, find something, I'm like, well, yeah, no shit, it's a lie. Of course they're lying to you.
It's a good view. It's a good
So,
view.
like, nothing surprises me.
So your parents told you we didn't go to the moon?
I mean, they didn't necessarily say that. No.
Because
But
I argue with my father about that. And I think Lee's had not an argument, but a disagreement recently.
but like, I think that, like, in school they teach you, like, we went to the moon, and I was like, okay, cool, like, we went to the moon. But then when I heard the theory, like, we didn't go to the moon, I was like, okay, yeah, we didn't go, whatever, right?
That upset me, the moon one, when I decided we didn't go to the moon, because like I was obsessed with the moon stuff when I was a kid, and like I remember, I can't remember what computer it was, but we had like the Encartica Encyclopedia CD-ROM, and like the few bits of full motion video it had the moon landing on it, and I watched that
Oh.
so much when I was a kid. And then I was given A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon to watch, and finished watching that and went, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is not ideal.
That'll ruin your childhood. You know, I thought of it and then I lost it. What was it? Oh, okay. When I first was gonna start this podcast and I just Googled, I was like, what are the most common conspiracies, right? Like, what is everybody talking about? What are the conspiracy theories everybody's talking about? And the one that, like, popped up that most millennials believed, and I could not believe this, and I haven't touched it, I haven't even talked about it, is that most millennials believe that the Holocaust never happened.
I've heard
What's
of this
that
one.
And I was like, nope. Mm-mm.
So you didn't cover that one, huh?
I was like, okay, well, if there's one conspiracy I'm just not gonna cover, it's gonna be that one.
You do know
So,
you're now going to have to cover it, because
well, now that I've brought it up on your podcast, I might have. No, you know what the problem is? When I do my research, I fully, whether I believe it or not, I fully buy into that conspiracy theory for
Yeah.
however long it takes me to do the research into that into that episode.
It's
So
a really good way of doing it, though.
because
I
I
like that.
can't be biased against it, because you'll hear it. And it doesn't matter. My opinion into that episode, it doesn't matter what I believe. right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm not trying to sell you on my opinion. I'm trying to tell you what the conspiracy is. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you every conspiracy about it. Because, like, the JFK assassination, you've got like 18 different theories. It doesn't matter which one I believe or which one I don't. It doesn't matter. But my job's to tell you what they are. Well, if I, which is why I didn't want to do the flat Earth episode, and I eventually did. I don't, I can't. The Holocaust happened.
The problem with doing an episode on that is it doesn't matter what you say
You're
in
wrong.
a conspiracy.
Yeah.
You're wrong because
Right.
even if it was something as tame as you go down, you go to the research, go, well, maybe the record keeping wasn't quite as good. Maybe the numbers were slightly different. You're still a Holocaust denier because you've even questioned what's
And you're
going on.
anti-Semitic. You're like, well, I'm not saying
Yeah.
it didn't happen. I'm just questioning the math. Nope,
Right.
can't do that.
And my ratings just can't handle it. I'm just kidding. I don't care about the ratings. I'm gonna get bad ratings whether it doesn't matter what conspiracy I cover.
Just it's not to keep going back to the flat Earth one. Did you get any pushback from your audience for having him on?
No, for having Tyler on?
Yeah.
No, actually, people really liked Tyler. I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest, because you know how people can comment on Spotify. So like
Mhm.
one comment I got was like Catholic, shake my head, and I was like, you guys are mad that the guy grew up Catholic? Are you kidding me? Like how? Oh my gosh! Like dude grew up the way he grew up. Like okay, so that was like the biggest thing, but outside of that, nobody was really mad about me having him on. People got really mad about me doing like my flat earth episode, but I got a lot of really positive feedback about like having him on my podcast.
Yeah, it's funny when we had Dave Weiss on back then we weren't doing the daily podcast like we're doing now, so everything we did was live streams at the weekend. So he was on live with us, and the comment section was just awful. Like it was to people were trying to rip each other apart in the comments.
Oh my
And the funny
god.
thing was, the people that were arguing with each other were basically turning around and saying, "Can we stop talking about flat Earth and get back to the sensible topics like reptilians?"
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. That's what happened.
I
Although
mean,
just to be fair, I wake up every day just to insight, and there's never a day that goes by that I don't think the reptilians are in charge. Like it's always at least a 15% chance, So I understand where they're coming from on that.
maybe. I don't think I believe in the reptilians.
What do you think of this whole push for UFO disclosure? Because we're like obviously this channel, Ollie started Alien Addict as a purely UFO sort of thing. Me and Dave ended up coming into this. We are definitely more
Sabotage.
conspiracy theorists than UFO guys. But I not to speak to Dave here. I don't even think we believe in aliens. To be perfectly honest, we think they're fucking demons.
Ollie,
But
did they hijack your channel?
kind of.
What happened?
I would
Kick
I
him
would
out of
say
here.
improved.
You just
Nah,
take it back.
I would say improved. It's fine. But the,
Well, the thing is, like, also, I think if you stick with the subject of aliens, there's only so many circles you just keep walking around.
That's true.
yeah, but one of the biggest conspiracies I think that's going on right now is the fact that for some reason the American government wants everyone to believe in UFOs all of a sudden.
I think it's a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I think the minute they start pushing something that everyone's like, "Oh, UFOs," right? They're like, it's all secretive, and then the minute they're like, "Oh, guys, hey, did you see the UFOs?" It's a distraction. Like they want you to start paying attention to things that they've been like hiding from you because they're trying to hide something else from you. Like,
Yeah.
yes, we all know that there's UFOs because how many people have seen them? Like,
Mhm.
Ollie, you know.
Yeah, well, you were in the Navy, yeah?
Yeah.
Was there any talk like in the Navy of
Not
things
in
in the
my
sky? No.
not my squadron. Although, I mean, I was in a like I mean, we flew. I was in an airplane squadron. I was in an EP3 squadron, but we didn't see anything. But I hear on the East Coast they see a lot of stuff. Although a lot of crazy things happened up in Washington where I was. we didn't see anything, or I didn't see anything. So
I mean,
don't know.
some of the biggest push with some of the military guys in the UFO field is that whatever they are is a danger, because you guys that are
Yes.
flying
Mm-hmm.
could possibly fly into one of them,
Yeah.
and then you fucked.
Yep. Because then you crash.
That's what they're saying. So this whole threat thing, I kind of get where they're coming from there. If they're coming from, is it a threat that if we just bump into it? I get that bit, but where the whole thing of them wanting to believe that it's little green men in flying saucers over time, I've just slowly pushed that aside. I thought that's nonsense.
But
They
then
want
it depends on what you believe, because if you're a flat earther, then where are the aliens coming from?
Antarctica.
Or outside of Antarctica?
Antarctica, though, it's very interesting because that's the
I
only place
did.
where
Yeah, I did an
nobody wants
episode
it
on
to go.
Antarctica. Yep. Because
You've done a show on Antarctica?
yeah.
So what's the wildest thing that you found out in your research about Antarctica?
Oh, there's so much going on in Antarctica. I think that there's there's something going on underground in Antarctica, because otherwise they've closed it off. Why is the whole world on board? Like, the only peace that we can get is everyone's like, we should agree that we just won't do anything in Antarctica besides like scientific research. We hate each other completely everywhere else. Like, we can't agree on anything else besides this one thing, and that's scientific research in Antarctica. That's weird. Isn't that fucking weird? Like, all of a sudden we can agree on one thing, and it's this thing, and
Yeah.
nobody even bats an eye at it. The whole world's like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. It's for the science. But we can't agree on like the science anywhere else. If you believe in global warming, we can't agree on science for global warming anywhere else. If you believe in like, I don't know, like the ozone layer, whatever else, like, we can't agree on like killing children is bad, right? We can't agree on that anywhere else. But we can agree that in Antarctica we can only do research there. And nobody else. It's not open to the general public. The whole world agrees on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have to agree. That's what I think is the most interesting thing.
Yes.
Like when a country becomes, we're a modernized country now, we're no longer third world. Hey, by the way, shithead, sit down and sign this paper, or we'll put someone else who will. What?
Exactly.
You're not going to Antarctica. No one goes to Antarctica.
Yep.
What?
You will not fly
Sign
over it. You will not go there. And if you do go there, you must share with everybody what you have found.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. You're telling me that that's totally normal and that happens like, nope. Something's going on in Antarctica.
My favorite thing with the Antarctic thing was the Buzz Aldrin tweet.
Yes.
Yep.
Because apart from the fact I definitely think that he tweeted it for a start, it's the fact that they turned around and said that he was hacked, and that someone hacked his account and they tweeted. But it doesn't make sense, because let's just say you hack Buzz Aldrin's Twitter account. What do you tweet? You've got one chance. You tweet, we didn't go to the moon.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. There's no way that you think, I know, he's just been to Antarctica, I'm going to tweet about Antarctica. No. You tweet, oh yeah, we never went to the moon. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Either that or there's aliens on the moon.
I don't think there's aliens on the moon. I don't know what
the moon is hollow. There's something's weird about the moon, though.
It's
hollow.
Something's really weird about the moon.
There's something to it, like the craters versus width and depth. You should get a certain depth from impact to measure out with the width, and there's not that. Everything is of the same depth.
And the fact that it rings when you hit it with things.
And the thing that no one takes color photos of it. Did you see the kid in India that put together one of the best color photos? He rendered it himself. There's huge rust spots in the open craters.
Oh,
Oh, I've
interesting.
seen that.
Yeah. And everyone's like, well, this can't be real. And he's like, and they're like, no, it's 100% real. It's X number of terabytes of photos that he took and put together and then rendered. And it's the
I love
best
that.
photo. You can look it up right now. It's the best photo of the moon ever taken. NASA's nothing close. And NASA's is always grayscaled. That's what they get
Yeah.
shown, black and white and grayscaled. This kid zoomed in, took just like little frames, pictures, rendered the whole thing together. And there's
I
this
need to see these.
rusting blue. I figured you already had. You were the
No.
moon guy. That like a
Yeah.
blue and red hue of oxidation.
And isn't it weird that like we spin in a circle, right? Like we rotate, but the moon stays the same?
Locked to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Distance, size, all of
It
that.
does. Like we've only ever seen this side. Like it's weird. The moon is freaky.
It's the only moon that is in our solar system that doesn't
Yeah.
rotate.
It's weird.
Well, it's also too big for our planet. It's
Well,
far too big for our planet.
My dad calls it a watchtower.
I think he's right.
Yeah.
Or a gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's weird about the freaking moon. There's something weird
But
about it.
wasn't there? Oh God, I wish I knew we were going to talk about this because I'd have looked it up before we came on. Isn't there like ancient text from somewhere that talks about a time before the moon was there?
There is a time before the moon.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it was brought here and it brought bad weather, big waves, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
Just showed up.
Makes you wonder. We talk about the idea of like resets and the civilizations falling. I mean, could that, like, if you say it brought big waves, could that be what did it? We've like, there's all the talks of the mud flood and stuff like that. Maybe it was the moon showing up that caused the previous civilization to be destroyed.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, the moon, doesn't the moon control
tidal forces?
Tides.
Yeah, but my wife says it controls her cycle. Yeah.
And some people do. Some people and that's actually I had a friend, she's super into astrology, and she was like, how come, and the people that are like adamantly against it, they're like, oh, your stars and astrology and all that, like, like your sign and stuff. They're like, oh, you think that's fake? She's like, the moon literally controls tides, and your body is made up of like what? How much water? You're thinking that like the moon and the stars aren't controlling your body, and you're like, and I was like, oh, that's a good point. So after that, then I started believing a little bit more. I was like, maybe my sign has something to do with my body. I was like, wait a second.
Well, it doesn't. Don't like murders and like violent assaults go up during full moons. I think statistically, crime rises during full moons.
Well, and werewolves.
Yeah. Well, we did a whole thing on vampires.
Maybe that's it.
And
we haven't done werewolves.
Yeah, that's it. I think it definitely has an effect on people.
Oh,
100%.
And people say, oh, that it's just made up. It's just made up. But on last Monday, we had that blue supermoon, and my toddler was a freaking nightmare. Let me tell you.
Yeah, Rear Naked Joke will work on that. Don't hold longer for than 11 seconds. 11 seconds is the key. But yeah, there's definitely things that influence. There's definitely things we don't understand and we don't take into account, and we should. And I believe, I'm not huge into like astrology. I'm genuinely not. I think sometimes people get a little far, but I think there's something to the seasons. There's something that people who believe in a magic and occult circles, there's certain times of power, certain times that matter, certain birth cycles that matter. These things matter for a reason. And if they do, and we've passed through, the edge of the universe, if that is, or whatever we call that, if we're in a universe, whatever we're in, the stars are our key to understanding what's happening to us and like maybe the ether or beyond our vision. Yeah, I definitely think there's something to that.
I just think time as well. It's you look at that time at sort of 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. There is a weird time at night that if you're still up, things just feel a little bit more unglued and a little bit creepier.
Well, it's also interesting that that's about the same time that people start to wake up. Have you noticed that?
Unless you're having sleep paralysis and night terrors, then you just ride it out.
Well, that's weird. We just don't talk about that part.
Have you had anything happen to you, Danielle, before? Have you any like ghost stories or UFO sightings.
Yeah. One time when I was like, how old was I? Like 13. I was just like sitting out. We had a fire, so I like looked up into the sky, and there was like a perfect triangle, so it wasn't a triangle. It was like 3 dots, but they made up a perfect triangle. They were moving across the sky, but like way too fast. This was well before drones, right? And they were way, way, way out there. And they started on one side of the sky, and they were moving so, so fast, way too fast for like a plane or whatever. And I watched them just go across the sky, and then they just disappeared. And I was like, that was cool.
Aliens.
Right. I just figured like probably a UFO. And it didn't freak me out because again, like I just grew up in a family that like, and my dad is very sensitive to like paranormal type things, and my two of my sisters are. I am not sensitive to like paranormal type activities. So when those type things happen, I am not privy to them because I'm not a sensitive person, whereas they are, so they feel all the feels and I don't. But that happened and I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of cool. Interesting." But outside of that, nothing.
Yeah, I find it really interesting that you had your family of being quite on the conspiracy side. You never really have been, and then you're the one with the conspiracy podcast.
Yeah, it's really fun when we
wild.
get together because I should have recorded it. It was such a good conversation. We were all together for something. I don't remember what. And my sister's husband's stepdad, he asked a question about 9/11. He's like, "You really believe it was an inside job?" And I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." Because I might be one, like, I'm not the most conspiratorial in my family, believe it or not. And I was like, "Here we go." So my dad's at the table, my sister, me, and her husband, and we were like, "Buddy." And then like boom, boom, boom. And we're just like going around. It's like a round table. Like, let us tell you just how much of an inside job this was. And it just went so far down this rabbit hole. I was like, we should have recorded this and I could have just posted this as my next episode because this was so good that anybody who believed that that was not an inside job, they would now. And they would believe in these other 18 conspiracies that we touched on. Because like, that was good. That was good.
There was no heart attack or anything like that. Then it was
No,
just-
he was like, and it was like kind of kind. Like we weren't attacking this guy at all. And he walked out of there a changed man. He learned a thing or two that day.
So, like you were saying before about the JFK assassination, obviously, 9/11 was a linchpin in I think stepping stones to where we are now. How do you feel about the last 5 years of the world?
I think they've been a really big turning point in people believing in conspiracy theories. Because you know how like JFK was a huge turning point. And you see these turning points in society. I think people believed in the government until JFK. Like a lot of people believed in the US government until JFK. And that was like a huge turning point where they're like, I think the government could have been involved. And that was when people were like, wow, okay, maybe the government doesn't have our best interest at heart, right? And that was kind of like a really big time in US history. And then we see 9/11 and again you see like, oh my gosh, like wow. No way, like that couldn't have happened. Like they love us. They wouldn't have done this to our own people, you know? And then with COVID, you see the divide. You see the huge divide because you have the people that are like, I want to believe that our government wouldn't do this, but I also don't trust it.
Yeah.
And you see the people fall drastically. And it was such a drastic fall that now people that used to never be conspiracy theorists, they're falling to the dark side.
Yeah, I agree because I've thought this before. Like I was 17 or 18, I think, when the 9/11 happened, and if I was 17 or 18 now, COVID-19 would have been my twin towers.
Yep.
I would say after COVID, the conspiracy theories have probably tripled.
I think so too.
Mm.
Because people are waking up. It was like such a slap in the face.
Mm-hmm.
This episode is brought to you by Etsy.
Oh.
Hear that?
Okay. Thank you.
Etsy knows these aren't the sounds of holiday gifting. Well, not the ones you're hoping for. You want squeals of delight, happy tears,
How did you?
and spontaneously written songs of joy.
I am so happy. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, the song needs a bit of work, but anyway, to get those reactions, make sure everyone on your list feels heard with handmade, handpicked, and designed gifts from small shops on Etsy. Gifts like personalized jewelry, custom artwork, cozy style items, vintage pieces, and home decor to celebrate all of your favorite people and their specific kind of special. For original gifts that say, I get you, Etsy has it.
Yeah, I was raised on Ruby Ridge in Waco, so never
yeah.
trusted the government.
I just covered
People
that
are
on my
like-
other podcast.
Did you? Yeah, people are like, the government wouldn't do that. The government will shoot your son in the back, kill your dog, shoot your wife while she's holding your baby, and terrorize you for the next 10 years. And then
And
they'll
then
pay
turn
you
around and be
millions of
like,
dollars. Sorry. Our bad. Our government will ambush you on a snowy road in Idaho and open fire with no warning. We do these things. Or not we, but they. You know, that I think the pivotal moment in conspiracy, because we were talking about that earlier, is when I was younger, and I live in Tennessee.
Mhm.
So there's the Oak Ridge National Labs, Y12, K25, all those types of facilities, as well as the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, which produces power, hydroelectric dams, nuclear plants. And the learning about like what the DOE is as a kid, like in Tennessee, was interesting. And I had a really cool history professor that I need to talk about in high school. And he's like, you guys realize we didn't win World War II. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? He's like, let me break it down for you. He's like, Operation Paperclip, we bring the scientists over. And he's like, yeah. And the kids in the classroom are all in high school because 9/11 had just happened. And they're like, yeah. He's like, yeah. We brought them over. That's great news, right? He's like, yeah, they were all Nazis. And they're like, no, they were forced to work. He's like, not the ones we took. And he's like, and he breaks it down. He's like, of the 6,000 people we took, he's like, 1,200 of them were actual scientists. The rest of the first wave of Paperclip, we took their SS officers. We took all their intelligence agencies. The CIA went from the OSS to the CIA during this time period, and we staffed them with all the Nazis that we took. He's like, let's fast forward that a little. JFK gets shot in the head. Those young SS officers who went and started working for us overseas are now running outposts. They're running the CIA. They're in charge. The Nazis killed the president. And so everyone's like, wait, what? He's like, who do you think flew those planes into buildings, boys? We're just like, oh my God.
This was your teacher?
Yeah, I was in public school and high school. He was a trip, man.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm not supposed to be excited about that.
No, yeah, everyone thought he was crazy. I thought he might have been a god. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, this guy's on it. Only teacher who liked me.
He's like, he's gonna grow up and be just as crazy as me.
Oh, I'm way crazier. I believe in things he would scoff at today.
But it's true though. Like at the end of the day, you're like, no, but like, let me break it down.
Yeah.
There's very few conspiracy theories I think that haven't got some sort of validity to them. There's when you scratch it, there's something there that's made it catch on and stick around.
I think it's important work. Lee had said years ago, we're going to come into a time when people are going to want to find themselves a good conspiracy theorist. They're going to need it to get through. Right? If the Miami Mall incident wasn't enough, or Trump getting shot, or this election, whatever's going on here, let alone all of the Western world imploding, right? Now's the time to find yourself a good conspiracy theorist or a good conspiracy theorist podcast to try and help understand that everything up until this moment has been a lie. You've been lied to.
I think it's fun, like this type of conspiracy theory podcast, which is different than mine, because in mine, like I don't have to, but what I do, I I do have to because this is like the standard I've set for myself, and I'm such a type A personality. So like I do a history of like everything that's come before and what they have told you. That way, you know, if you don't know, like if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, like say it's just somebody that's like curious about conspiracies, right? And then I tell you the conspiracy. I give all the evidence. Whereas there are some conspiracy theories that it's hard to do all of that with, if that makes sense, right? So this is fun, this like round table type conversation where it's like, let's just talk about the theory. Let's just have this conversation where it's like, no, but like you have to hear the different points. Like you have to hear it like this because I don't get that opportunity much. I don't really get to do
I think
things.
that lends itself well to things that have had a bit of time passed.
Yes, it
But
does.
it's but talking about things that are going on right now, this is kind of the only way to do it, because you could definitely go out and you could do a load of research on COVID-19, and when you go and put your COVID-19 episode out, it's going to be bang on, but it's going to have changed in another year, because this isn't like a single event that's happened since COVID to now. This is a plethora of things that have just dominoes falling, and I've been into conspiracy theories since I remember the X-Files coming out, pretty much, and thinking, oh, this stuff's cool. And I've always been in the box of this stuff's really cool, and I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy listening to this stuff. Now, unfortunately, I listen to some of it and go, oh, actually, it's pretty fucking terrifying now.
Because it is.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be real. This was all supposed to be me listening to podcasts, essentially having like some sort of a LARP about flat Earth. This wasn't supposed to be like a socialist takeover of the entire planet. That wasn't part of the game.
I'm rewatching X-Files while I'm like cooking dinner for the wife and kids, and I'm like, what did they just say?
Wife.
Yeah.
This is like what's going on right now.
And it's even crazier than that, because the longer you spend in this insanity, the further the rabbit hole you go down. Right? Over. I was figuring out how I could work it out.
I appreciate it.
It took planning. But like you start getting into, let's just go back to NASA, right? You got JPL, you got Jack Parsons. Okay, that's cool. How about everything that he was into with the cult and the sex magic rituals out in the desert? How about him trying to open interdimensional doorways to breed a human vessel for a demon to inhabit, who then would give him the magic of science and rocketry in his dreams? You know what I mean? And people are like, that's insane. And yet, that's what
went down
happened.
that rabbit hole with Alistair Crowley, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to do an Aleister Crowley Bush family.
Be careful.
Oh,
no, it's going to be like a crossover between my two podcasts, because I do like the cults, like I'll do Aleister Crowley, and then on the rabbit hole, I'm going to do the Bush family, because why not? It's all one.
No.
Yeah, they are. Aleister Crowley's Bush's grandfather.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you do both, but you do it. I mean, I have two podcasts. Why not do a crossover episode?
Absolutely.
We did an episode on Aleister Crowley, and it was probably one of the more like themed episodes that we've done. And it was really weird. It was quite a good episode. I enjoyed doing it, but we all felt a bit strange about it.
2 weeks research, right? 2 weeks,
something like that, yeah. And like we all rang each other up in the next day, and it was like a thing of like, it's gonna sound like really gay, but did you have like nightmares? And all three of us had nightmares about like terrible things happening to our families and stuff like that. It was weird what happened after we did that episode. Like that was different. There was something tangible to how we felt after that. Yeah, I was unsure about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. I haven't done it yet. It's gonna be weird though.
Yeah,
Aleister Crowley is a character.
Yes, that is a word for him.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? What other word would you use to describe him?
I think he's exactly what he claimed to be.
The beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or at least a manifestation of it. He pursued it. He found it. He was active in it. The quote unquote sex magic rituals he wrote and designed and frequented. Especially you're going to be covering the Bush family.
Yep.
So when you look at the particular members that he was with at France, while he was developing the ritual, he would later perform with Jack Parsons and Parsons' wife and all these other people out in the desert, where they later founded not only Area 51, but JPL Labs in California. Like, they found specific locations to do it because it mattered. And allegedly that was the conception of, Bush Sr., right? So
interesting.
Yeah.
I think at some point in the future, like when more time's passed, and people have died and things, like people, like kids now will look back on Marina Abramovic in the same way as people look back on Aleister Crowley. I think Marina Abramovic is the modern day equivalent of Aleister Crowley.
She's an ambassador for Ukraine, you monster.
She's probably a satanic witch, if we're all honest.
Oh no, she's 100% a satanic witch.
I got a video. One of my listeners sent me a video today about Kamala Harris being a satanic witch. So
Goat throat?
I don't think she'd be a very good one. She'd be like the one of the Harry Potter one where she says the spell's wrong and turns a wardrobe into a frog.
I could see her fluffing the goat. I mean, I don't know that she's I don't know that I want her leading anything. Why don't you go warm the goat up for the sacrifice? Just stop talking. Go over there.
How did she get here? How did we get here? Wait a second.
And
Where are we at? I gotta go. I got things to do.
I was gonna say, and at that point, I think.
Can I come back? This was way too much fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
of course you can. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
This was a lot of
You'll
fun.
have to join a live show.
Yes. Can we do that? When do you guys do live shows?
But our fans are terrible people.
Don't, Dave. They listen.
You know that I was in the Navy, right? They listen. I hope that. First of all, I hope they listen. Our fans are terrible people.
Right.
They do listen, Dave. You
terrible
can't
way.
say that.
Nobody's listening to us. We see
What
the
if my
numbers.
fans are listening to you?
They probably won't like us either. There's a consistency. Do you realize the number of people we've had on our show that go to like Tim Pool or these other giant podcasts, or like just the circles where we've talked about it? Like we're like, what's going on with us, guys? And we're like, nobody likes us. Like, damn it. At this point, it's definitely us. Right.
I don't get invited on many podcasts. And then I don't even know how you found me. I don't know how people find me. I'm just like this little tiny podcaster in my little tiny room, just doing my little tiny thing over here. And people are like, hey, hi.
I think Lee's been listening for a month or so, haven't you, Lee?
Yeah. I was just looking for new conspiracy podcasts. In fact, you're here because I bought a new phone. And I bought an Android phone instead of having my Apple phone. So I had to start using Spotify to listen to podcasts on. So that meant I lost all my podcasts. So I started looking for conspiracy podcasts. And I think it must have been, I can't remember what episode it was. But anyway, yeah, that's how I started listening to your podcast, because I bought a new phone.
I am on Spotify charts now.
Sorry?
I said I am on the Spotify charts now.
Nice.
Yeah, you're doing great. You have great reviews. It's
Do I?
awesome. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
You got over 1,000. Yeah.
I try not to look at
4.1?
the reviews because they stress me out a little bit.
Why?
Because I care too much. The problem is everyone's like, you can't care about the reviews because people don't know you. And I'm like, but I I put so much of my heart and soul into my podcast that I care so much. And so I had to stop looking at them.
I get it.
I see.
I get it.
I
It's
draw
too
energy.
much.
I draw energy from that stuff. That's why I am undefeated at Twitter. Undefeated at the game of Twitter.
Lee loves the
Yeah.
hate, especially when he can pretend to be Ollie.
And then now I can actually, you can reply on Spotify to the comments. Like, people can leave you comments. So you can publish the comments if you want. You can reply to them. But if you reply, then they automatically get published, or you can delete them. So the comments, when people leave them, they don't automatically get published. I try not to read them.
You just let it go with the star rating and the number of them. That's all I tracked. I haven't read anything. I just saw that you have 4.1 at 1,000. That's great. That's great.
It's a lot. It's a
So-
lot, and it stresses me out a little bit. My stomach starts to turn when I think about them.
I wrote 2 books, so I understand that, and I never thought anyone would read them, and I was wrong. A lot of people read them, and a Bible group got a hold of it.
Ooh,
It's not a book for a Bible group.
that sounds.
And
Why?
those people were going for my damnation. It was unbelievable. And I got to be honest, the only reason I wrote the second book was so I could put their pastor in a scene and have him executed in the pulpit in a brutal way.
Wow.
Because
I
that's
just
how
don't
I roll.
understand. So I don't understand that. Like, you know that this book isn't for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
There's
should have
no
known
way
that from
they
the
didn't know.
title, 50 Shades of Dave. I mean,
That was good. That was good, Ollie.
It's like why do you come to a conspiracy theory podcast when you're not like, you know that this is going to be pretty controversial? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, why do you go to a book like that? You know you're not going to like it.
Some
It's a
people just like to
fiction
be
book.
upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you
But
do this?
they love it. They love it. They love to critique it. They love to be outraged by it.
But you're
They
hurting my
enjoy it.
actual feelings, and I have a lot of feelings. I actually cry sometimes about reviews, and it like Taylor, my husband, he's like, stop reading them. So I stopped reading them.
Yeah, they're not real.
I have a
They're
lot
not
of
real.
feelings, but the problem is I'm a very emotional person. You couldn't tell by looking at me. Very emotional person over here. So I stopped reading them.
You take it to heart. I get it.
I do.
I get it. I just
Like
got
you.
even.
Yeah, you wrote a whole second book about it. So you took it to heart too, Dave. Don't even come at me like you did that too.
No, but mine was to settle the score. Like I'm gonna burn it to the
I
ground.
can't
I'm
settle
gonna
the score.
send your church free copies. That's what I'm gonna do. Here they are. Every member gets a. I'll pay for it myself.
The only thing you could do with that, if you wanted to respond like Dave, you'd have to take the names of the people that leave you bad reviews and do
start calling
special
them out.
episodes going, well, Dave Johnson in Florida, apparently he has sex with animals. See you again next week.
And not the good looking animals.
yeah,
So
it's
I'm
always
not that
confused
petty.
me.
I'm not that petty.
I am 100%.
I'm not.
Where can people find you and like on the socials and all that sort of stuff? And what have you got coming up?
So I come out on like Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. My podcast is called The Rabbit Hole, Conspiracy Theories. It comes out every single Wednesday. I also have Cult Chronicles that comes out on Mondays. And then on TikTok and Instagram, it's at rabbit.holepodcast. I'm new to TikTok, so be gentle over there because I'm not good at TikTok. Turns out I'm like really bad at it. It's kind of fun though. So anyway,
You put
yeah,
conspiracy in the tags on TikTok.
I did. Yeah, I do.
Don't.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know because
I
I'm
think-
so new. And then somebody like yelled at me in the comments and she's like, I thought we stopped doing this years ago. And I was like, I'm so new to TikTok. I don't know what we stopped doing. I don't know. So
Is this where I shuffle dance? I don't know what to do.
should I start doing trends? Like I'll start dancing. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. Let's be honest. I'm not dancing for your time on TikTok.
TikTok's weird. We do like we don't get like huge amounts of views. We've had a couple of like really good TikToks which have done some numbers, but like most of our TikToks get between like 600 and 1,500 views on them, something like that. Apart from one where we talked about Andrew Tate for 5 seconds and that got 7.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
That sounds good. I think I get like 200 views. One of them got like 800 views, and I was like, "Wow, I'm TikTok famous." My mom was like, "No, you're not." My mom's way better at TikTok than I am, and I'm like, "That's embarrassing."
I may or may not have a family member who makes money on TikTok, and they were like looked at our TikTok and they're like, "Oh, it's terrible. You guys doing everything wrong." And like one never tag conspiracies, like they'll automatically crush it. Like it won't go anywhere. Run whatever's trending.
We got one TikTok with 200 and something thousand views. So or likes, sorry.
Yeah.
So
Oh, man.
we did it right once. Just the once.
I'm up to like 600 followers, so I'm feeling pretty popular.
You're getting there.
I see. I repurposed our TikTok, and I made such a mistake because I had a really good TikTok on it because I found the. Have you seen the thing about the Epstein cruises used to go to the
Disney cruises used to go to Epstein
the
Island.
Disney cruises used to go to Little St James. I found that first. I put the first TikTok up that I'd seen,
And then everybody else took it.
Yeah. And but no, it's fine. That was great. But then I got freaked out by conspiracy theories and deleted everything off it because I play drums as well. So I was going to do it. I know I'm just going to be an internet drummer, and now I'm definitely not an internet drummer. And I deleted all the good videos that were on the TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bummer.
Well, this has been a blast, Danielle, and I definitely think we should do this again if you want to.
Yes.
It's fun.
I'll come on one of your lives too. You just have to let me know when they are. This was really fun. I definitely want to come back.
Yeah, we do. It's the same sort of start time. We do every Sunday. Is a live show.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
So, awesome. We'll sort it out. And I hate doing it. Ending podcasts is the horriblest thing to do.
It is really not. You're just weak. Thank you for your time, Danielle. It's been fantastic. Everyone, look her up on the Rabbit Hole Conspiracy. It's on Spotify and everywhere you get your podcast. She also has. Was it The Occult? I'm sorry, you said it.
It's Cult Chronicles. Cult Chronicles.
Cult Chronicles. Yeah. So check that out as well. Give her lots of love, lots of subscribers for anyone who does listen to us, because only the sexy people subscribe to the things we tell them to, and only the really sexy people give us 5-star reviews. So you know who you are, and we love you.
That was really good, Dave. That was just what I was going to do before you did it. Okay, bye.
Bye. Hey friends, The Rabbit Hole is an independent podcast with everything you hear done by me, Danny Mercy. I appreciate all of your support. Please rate and review wherever you're listening. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at rabbit.holepodcast. And thank you, Zakar Valaha, for our awesome intro.